All right, Shawn, my friend, it has been a long time. Last time we spoke, 1992, you were going to do something with biology. Have you done that?
I have.
Talk to me. What's going on?
Well, I went to UCSD down in La Jolla, and so I enrolled as a biology student, as a generalist, as a biology student. I ended up mostly studying biochemistry and genetics, and so I finished there. I think the spring of '94, and then I was quickly employed by a startup called the National Genetics Institute in Los Angeles, and so I worked for them for 20 years developing PCR tests for medical device and plasma industry folks, and ended up becoming their head of quality. And so I'm still in biology today. I work for a very well known clinical lab testing company here in the United States, and so I'm a regional quality director. So I have some fairly large responsibilities across the whole Western United States. But yeah, I still do biology. I still do all that good stuff.
Are you still out in like Inland Empire, Pomona area?
No, bro, I'm in Nardcore, dude. I'm in the Oxnard Ventura area. I actually live in Ventura proper, but I'm up on the coast now.
Really? Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So now, okay, now we're gonna circle it back. We've caught up on the 30 years since we last spoke.
Mhm.
How do you get into this music?
How do I get into the music?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go way back, all
Yeah.
the way to the beginning. Um, I probably told this story before. Certainly not in print. This is the first time I've done an interview like this, so this is kind of a fun new thing to do. So my brother and I, we were raised by a fairly conservative mom and dad, and we were from the Midwest near Illinois, near Chicago, and I wasn't that guy. I wasn't the music guy. I was like the ride motorbikes and play hockey kind of a guy. But my brother was definitely into music, so somehow he was able to get my parents to buy him records like Kiss Destroyer, Adam and the Ants, and things like that. And so he was my segue. Naturally, an older brother, he was my segue into music. And so I would go into his room and he'd be spinning vinyl and I'd be checking it all out. And it wasn't until I think it was probably maybe the seventh grade, El Robley Junior High, that all of a sudden like this thing started to cement for me. So this would probably be 1981, I think, and went down to Rhino Records Claremont and picked up Black Flag's Nervous Breakdown EP. I think it was probably the second pressing at that stage, and that and several other things that my brother had been listening to. We had some comps that we had gotten a hold of. We'd gotten a hold of Punk and Disorderly comps. We'd gotten a hold of Not So Quiet on the Western Front, and we got a hold of eventually Flex Your Head and things like that off the Discord label, and just it really harmonized with me. It resonated with who I was. Like my brainwave said, this matches my point of view. This matches my sense of angst towards society in general. This matches like the speed at which I felt like I wanted to travel, and so it was. It was fairly addicting, I think, at first. Like I thought to myself, this is something I could really sell out about. This is something that I could really dig my teeth into and push forward. And the closer I got to punk, the more records I bought, the more I was sensing and experiencing the scene, our local Pomona scene. The more I wanted to be a part of it. And the next logical step would be to get into music directly and be actually involved as much as I possibly could. As a young person, I mean, I was literally 12 or 13 years old.
So does that lead directly to guitar, or was there another instrument, or?
Well, at least anything I can get my hands on. And so, like, the genesis of Pillsbury Hardcore was effectively a joke band that was started during a party because whoever was playing at the time, and I don't remember who was playing, just had instruments available. And Bill Tuck, my brother, Bill Tuck on vocals, my brother on the drums, and others, just jumped in and started playing. And because my brother was playing, I obviously was very close to what was going on there. And I think probably after a couple of weeks of the band being framed, they had a bass roll. So I said, I'll figure out how to play the bass. And so I think probably the first couple of shows I played, I'm not even sure there was actual music written at that time. We were just up there just making a lot of noise and having an absolute fantastic time. And so bass was my first option, and then the band started to become a little bit more serious. I mean, it's hard to talk about Pillsbury Hardcore and serious in the same sentence unless you're saying not serious. But we wanted to start writing music and doing things that was a little bit more tangible to most listeners. And so Eric Wood was found by Bob Durkee and Bill Tuck as a competent bass player and a music writer. And so he came in on bass, and so I naturally transitioned to guitar, and I was quite happy with that change.
So then, now that's the formation of PHC. I mean, I remember years before I ever knew you. Like, okay, so it was Pillsbury Hardcore, then Pissed Happy Chill. Like, was there a name change, or like, can you talk about that name a little bit?
Sure. So yeah, the first one we did was this one.
Okay.
So this was recorded in July of '85, and it was most of the music that was written from the beginning of '85 until the summer of '85, and so that was Pillsbury Hardcore, and we recorded music for this and this comp right here. So we had done those. Like I did my homework. I came prepared.
No, I love it. You're the only person who's ever done that. I love it. I
got a lot here.
Oh, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to the collection.
It's easier for me to remember. Pillsbury Hardcore was a fantastic opportunity for me. I mean, literally, like one of my best moments of my life was hearing the test pressing of In a Straight Edge Limbo for the first time in my bedroom. I'll never forget it. And so it was that band until probably September of '87. We had just finished a U.S. tour, and we just weren't clicking. We weren't clicking with Bob. Bob had his own musical point of view, and it wasn't exactly in harmony with what my brother Joel, Eric Wood, and myself were thinking of doing and starting to write about. And so we had a departure there. At that stage, it seemed logical to us. We didn't want to completely lose the essence of what we were doing because we really loved Pillsbury Hardcore, and so we just took the initials. Actually, the initials of Pillsbury Hardcore is just PH, but whatever, PHC is fine. We took PHC, and then we just sat around in a room for literally maybe 20 or 30 minutes before we came up with Pissed Happy Children. We said, okay, we have a new band. It's called Pissed Happy Children. We had taken a few songs that we had recently wrote inside of Pillsbury Hardcore and just brought them into Pissed Happy Children so we could immediately start to play. And we were in the studio. By the end of December of '87 and wrapped that one up almost. We finished it in the spring of '88, thanks to Billy Rubin and Mike Duchamp of New Beginning that gave us a chance to do that. That was a real kicker. So Pissed Happy Children was formed. Pissed Happy Children was in existence for about 2 years. And then my brother and Eric Wood really were getting into a lot of Alan Holdsworth, real jazz fusion, real off-tempo, things like that. I didn't have the musical aptitude, and I also didn't have the patience to try and learn that style and to stay with that style. So they had taken a couple of songs that we had recently wrote, so this would probably be like 1990, and moved into a band called Cyclops.
Okay.
And so at that stage, I jumped from that band into a band called Addiction, okay, which ultimately became End to End. And also inside that segment there between Pissed Happy Children and Addiction, I did a band with Frosty from Chain of Strength and my good friend Eric Egan, who was later in a band with me called Process, a band called Jolt. And so we had played a couple of shows and did a demo, but that one did not really seem to work out so well. So off to Addiction, then End to End, and then I did Process.